Hello, everybody. Welcome to the January 27th Long-Term Recovery Committee, and we have a quorum. It is 5:32. Members present, Councilors Aubry, Manager Burt, Superintendent Austin, Mr. Bronk, Councilor Baumgardner, Mayor Hedrick, Councilor Bordelon, and ex officio members, Representative Conley and Senator Summers. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. The first item is approval of minutes to 2020-871, December 16, 2020 special meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved, Baumgardner.
Second.
Moved by Baumgardner and seconded by Hedrick. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. All those in favor of 2020-871, December 16th special meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, this evening we have one item on the agenda, and it will be updates from committee members. And did we want to start with our legislative delegation first, and then we can go to the other members? That way, if they have commitments, they can head their way if they need to. So Representative Conley, did you have anything you wanted to report?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate being here, and I heard before we logged on that some have some good news and update reports, so I look forward to hopefully I can stay on long enough before my next meeting to hear that. Otherwise, I'll catch the replay later. But we are doing okay in the state. We just got our numbers from the governor a few minutes ago. We all need to still be very cautious as we have new strains, and as more and more folks, especially our seniors, are getting their first vaccine. But we do want to make sure that folks use utmost precaution, because even if you've gotten your first vaccine, it doesn't mean that you've necessarily gotten your second, or others in your household could still be waiting for their turn to get their vaccine. So please be very cautious. I have my mask right here for when I go into the common hallway where I'm working, that I make sure I have my mask on to try to protect folks around me as well. So if we're all very cautious, we're have a lot of bills pending right now. And I was in public hearings all day with Senator Summers on the Transportation Committee. So while we weren't hearing about COVID in that committee, there's a lot of bills going through on how to codify some of the executive orders that are beneficial to our businesses, as well as our government executive orders. The governor did extend so that we can continue to have virtual meetings. So I know that's beneficial to the town. There's a lot of work to do, so please continue to reach out, not just at these monthly meetings, anything in the middle, please reach out. And I'd like to thank whoever set up the Zoom meeting that they had that automatic calendar invite. Extremely helpful, especially with the amount of legislative Zooms we have. So I appreciate folks putting that on the calendar so that we can see our Zoom invites as quickly as possible. But we're here for you. Please reach out. Please get vaccinated if you're able, and be extremely cautious. And people, unemployment, businesses who need help, please reach out so we can assist the best we can.
Thank you, Representative Conley. Senator Summers, you have the floor.
Sorry, good evening. To expand a little bit upon what Representative Conley had said, right now we are in the throes of our committee meetings. There's many bills that are on the table. We will make sure that we flag the ones that may affect the town and or the school district that are pending. There's quite a few that are somewhat interesting. We always look to have feedback on the bills that you may be interested in. As you know, there has been a proposal to add a statewide property tax that is coming out of the Senate Democrat caucus that has been really receiving a lot of pushback from towns. We all know what the property tax does to many of our individuals, and that particular tax would affect close to 75% of the homeowners and businesses in the state of Connecticut. So, you know, although I think well-intended, it's something that we would look for your input on, because that is another added burden for those who are struggling to either stay in their houses. We know that those who are receiving rental assistance through the CARES Act. If their landlords receive that, that's just going to be passed on. So I think we need to think about that particular proposal long and hard. As far as the vaccine, we have continued to inoculate. We have over 300,000 plus that have been vaccinated. Almost 50,000 have had both their shots. You may hear that there have been some appointments that have been canceled. That is a combination of receipt of vaccines because of the allocation from the federal government. I'm sure you have also read that they're going to try to increase the vaccines to I think it's 1 million a day. That's 100,000 more than we were currently getting. So we really need to move that needle even further. We have very good promise on the J&J vaccine that will be entering into the EUA approval process through the FDA. If that can get cleared, it will really be a game changer for how we inoculate, because you won't need the special storage. It's one shot, and you would be able to get it at your doctor's office or the local pharmacy. It's much easier to handle. We are setting up, we will be setting up drive-through vaccination clinics. I know there was one in the city. They've been very small because they're only able to obviously vaccinate with the amount of vaccine that they have. There was a little hiccup with schools. I'm sure you heard about that. That has been resolved. Again, right now, the focus is 75 plus, then to 65 plus. We are also vaccinating some senior housing. Congregate housing is starting to come online to be vaccinated as we get the vaccine. And if you're going to call 211, 211 is booking appointments for vaccines, but they're only scheduling you at Rensselaer Field, which I know is far for people in Eastern Connecticut. So we're working to try to find a different location that's closer to home. And you can always try to make your appointment through Ledgelight Health District or hartfordhealthcare.org if you're having trouble with the VAM system. If you have anything else that you're particularly interested in, I'm happy to answer, but that's the quick update. And I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of legislative action. If you're ever bored, you can go to CGA and watch Zooms from literally 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night without a break in between. So that's the update for now.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone have questions for either the representative or the senator in case they do need to leave us?
I did.
Susan,
Patrice.
Susan,
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm not very good with the phone Zoom. But I just wanted to ask Senator Summers if she had any packets that she had wanted to send to us. We hadn't received them at the RTM. So if there's any of that vaccination ambassador material that you wanted to forward to me or to Betsy McCowsher, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure, I will do that. What I will be doing is the ambassadors, you don't necessarily get like a booklet, but you get all the updated information that we have. And we typically have, I have meetings every day, but usually would get an update maybe on a Monday or a Thursday or a Friday afternoon. So we can just put you on the email list and just continue to give you the updates. So you would be able to share it with the town. And I can send that to Betsy and she can get it to everybody.
Thank you. That would be great.
Okay, and then Susan Austin from the schools is here with us for a question.
Hello, Heather. I was just wondering if we have any more news about our teachers. I know I listen to everything I can from our unified command to, the state Zoom meetings just to try to get the closest information. I know that we now will have the 65-year-olds, and the hope is, I've heard you say this, the hope would be that the teachers would be next, but not sure when that would be or if we have any closer information.
Well, I can tell you that on February 2nd at 7 p.m., we're going to be doing a vaccine forum for the Groton Public School staff.
Yep.
That I know you'll be at, so they can ask any question they want concerning the vaccine. One of the issues that we are having is that females of childbearing years are hesitant to take this vaccine. So we want to make sure that they have all the correct information. There was a bunch of false information and rumors, and you know how things go crazy on Facebook and social media. And so we want an opportunity to really allow the experts to answer those questions specifically. And anything else they want pertaining to the vaccine. We hope to have maybe some more information at that time, but the goal is right now 75 and older, 65 and older, because that is the population that there's 90% death in. After that, we're going to look at 16 to 65 with one comorbidity and potential impending death. And then I think that you will definitely see a focus on teachers. We understand that they are, critical to getting our economy back, et cetera. But right now we have to focus on the most vulnerable, which is not that population. I know that there is, a huge effort to try to get teachers done as soon as we possibly can.
Right.
So the good news is, because Connecticut, we're doing such a good job of getting that vaccine into people's arms, we continue to get additional allocation. So if we can continue that that track record, then we're hoping it would be sooner than later. We are trying to be able to get to 65 and above, hopefully by mid February. But again, it's all dependent on what we get from the federal government. But trust me, teachers are a huge priority within that essential work group. We understand they are a huge cog in the wheel. Our big problem, I wish we had enough vaccine for everybody right now, but I don't want them to think they're forgotten, because they're not.
Right.
And that would actually be the whole school staff, not just the teachers. It would
Right.
be
Exactly.
everybody.
Because everyone who's working, our cafeteria workers,
Right.
actually out feeding the population even beyond our school walls.
I
So
know,
they
I
really
know.
are out there. So
Thank you for asking, but I hope maybe we'll have a better update next. I guess
Right.
that's right around the corner on the 2nd.
I'll
just
make sure we
wanted
send a reminder for everybody.
I wanted to add a question and then add something to what Susan had said. Could you invite all teachers that work in the town of Groton to that? So you have many schools that are located within the town to come to that forum. I think it would probably be easier than having individual ones for marine science and Sacred Heart and Grasso and all the other schools that are here. So that was my ask. And then I just wanted to say that there have been more than hiccups in the system, because there have been on 2 occasions emails sent to teachers saying register, and people go in and they register, and then you get the email saying, oh, just kidding, don't register, cancel your appointment. And then we got another one from the CDC and it said register, and then it was like, no, don't register, just kidding. So it's very difficult for us to know what is the right timing. And I understand we've been trying to follow along on the state website, the COVID website, and Representative Connolly has been posting things on her Facebook page. And she's assured me that she will put something out so that people will know when it's their turn to actually register. But there have been these false alarms, and that doesn't help with people that are waiting in the queue. So I just needed to throw that out there. Thank you.
If I can respond to that, first of all, the emails that have gone out, I can't speak to that. There's emails that go out from the governor's office. There's emails that go out from DPH. And it is my understanding that the towns were originally told to load the most essential workers, and the Board of Education was told to load their nurses. Some Board of Education decided to put their whole roster up, and then the DPH said, oh yeah, put your whole roster up. At that time, they were loaded in the system, but the VAM system that Connecticut has decided to use cannot distinguish who's ready and who's not. So we are working on actually a different system as we speak. So then you heard that when 75 and above were the people that were supposed to be getting their vaccines, that some teachers were getting it, and they went on Facebook and it created this big thing. So the DPH commissioner, in agreement with the governor, sent out a letter to all the school districts saying, if you're a teacher who's 75 and above, you can get it, but if not, you are not eligible at this time. And if you have an appointment, you have to cancel it. I can let you know that it will be crystal clear when it is okay for teachers to sign up to get their vaccine. We are working on, and again, the committee that I'm chair of, at the end of the day, it's the DPH and the governor's decision on what they want to do. But we're looking at identifying in 1B under the essential workers, the specific job occupation you have as to whether you are considered eligible or not. Because that's a very large group of 1.3 million people. And we do, I know the website is a little tricky. The other thing that did happen is the governor at a press conference said, we're opening up 1B, which people assumed was the entire 1B. You know, in reality, 1B has to be rolled out because we just don't have enough vaccine. It will be crystal clear who is eligible as far as essential workers and teachers. I can promise you that it will be not only on Representative Conley's Facebook page, but in the paper and everywhere you probably could see it. So, you know, all I can say is we're in the middle of a pandemic. The state and the country has never seen this before in 100 years. And we have to look at the positive that although there have been issues, Connecticut is doing better than 45 other states in the rollout. So we have to try to keep positive. I keep saying, please be patient. We're going to be persistent. There are bumps in the road. Some are larger than others, but our entire goal is to get there. And if we had more vaccine, it would make it a lot easier. So I apologize on the behalf of the DPH and the governor's office and those bumps, but we're going to have more, I'm sure. So just stick with us and we'll stay on this together. And if there's complaints, if you're finding there's issues, please just give me a call. I, you know, was able to fix a bunch today with some first responders that were having some issues. So feel free to give me a call and let me know what those are. I talk to the commissioner many times a day, and yeah, I'm happy to do that. The other thing I just want to mention is there is a little confusion on the second dose. You know, it says people think you have to get it a day 21 or day 28. The actual study shows you can't get it before then. So if you're scheduled at day 40 or day 35 to get your second dose, you're okay. You just can't get it before day 21 or before day 28. And that's, you know, that's been a cause of like a lot of anxiety, but that's something that we wanted to make sure we get out there.
I have to say that a shout out to the Groton Unified Command, because the way we've centralized a lot of this work, our HR department were able to upload our staff, and it's Captain B who's like taking the word from the state. So because of that, you know, we didn't make the mistake in Groton of uploading the teachers. So, you know, a shout out to Chief Fasaro and Captain B and being able to have that once a week meeting to really, you know, have that information in a timely way. I think it really coordinates our town and city, and it's a really good thing. So it's appreciated.
Just one last thing. I didn't answer Mayor Granatowski about the invite to the other teachers. We are limited by the number that we can have because it's a closed Zoom meeting. So we certainly can do as many as you would like. You know, this is something that Groton Public Schools had asked for. So, you know, depending on how many people want to sit in on another Zoom, we can certainly extend it or do another one at another time.
Okay, maybe it could be like one representative from each of the other schools could attend.
Sure.
Maybe, you know, let the school choose who they want to send to the meeting.
Or they can send in questions in advance too.
Yes, that would be great.
I had
Just
a
a
question.
quick-
I can't raise my, I'm sorry. You can go, Chris, Representative Connolly. I just can't raise my hand. If I could just be next in the queue, I'm on my cell phone.
Representative Conley, go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Bordelon, for heeding your time. Just to follow quickly on what Susan Austin said about, I'm glad that Groton has been following all the rules and doing a great job. I do know, because we're recorded, that many teachers, as the mayor said, who may not work in our system do live in town. And it's something that I know we talked about at the last meeting with the superintendents about trying to make sure that we get the same information out to all folks, so that each district is doing it just as well as Groton is. Because the confusion is causing, I've heard it, I'm sure the center has as well, the confusion is causing more anxiety, and we already have enough anxiety with COVID. So if everyone can follow the good example that we are setting in Groton to follow the Department of Public Health guidelines, and we will all be posting and sending the group emails out. So if folks want to make sure they sign up to our emails, that way you get the most up-to-date information, because we all know how quickly rumors travel. And I think one of the funniest rumors that I've seen on vaccines is someone found out that their friend was lying to them about being over 75 and had always had misrepresented their birthday. and this vaccine got the truth out for that couple and the friends that someone was misrepresenting their age. So if you do hear, there's sometimes people are misrepresenting things, sometimes mistakes happen, but we do want to get the most up-to-date information out as things are changing so much that we prevent these social media mishaps with the misinformation, and we prevent the additional anxiety, because everyone, especially our teachers and frontline workers, have enough anxiety in their day-to-day reactions with the public and with our students. So keep up the good work, everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Baumgartner has had his hand up, so he's next in the queue. Councillor Baumgartner.
I'm happy to defer to Councilor Bordelon if she's under the gun with time, but I can go ahead of time, whatever.
Oh, I'm fine with time. I just wanted to say, because I couldn't raise my hand because I'm on my phone, it won't let me. So thank you.
No problem. And thank you to our legislative delegation, both Senator Summers and Representative Conley, for coming as usual. I do have a question with respect to the governor's proposal. He recently introduced legislation with the goal of expanding broadband internet access, making it more universally accessible. His office cited statistics from a study back in 2018 where it was found that 21% of white households did not have access to broadband internet, 35% of Hispanic families, and 34% of African-American households. So these were obviously issues, that our community dealt with prior to the pandemic, and certainly those issues, became ever, omnipresent as a result of, kids now doing remote learning, and a lot more work. My brother just got home from the bus, and a lot more, folks, doing remote work as well. So my question is, what are your thoughts on that legislation? And, is there anything Groton should be mindful of? I know, our Groton Public Schools has benefited greatly from the, both the investing, the state investment, providing computers, and we've done our part as well, in large part due to the leadership of Superintendent Austin. But is there anything the town can do from an advocacy standpoint this legislative session to talk about these issues? And kind of curious as to what your thoughts are and how we can get the ball rolling on making internet access more universal throughout our community.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick because I do have to go soon for my next Zoom starting at 6 o'clock. But this did come out with a press release yesterday, and I think it's a great idea to deal with the digital divide statewide. And I think we've been seeing a lot at the legislature, and I think it was brought up at the superintendent's meeting too, how different some municipalities can deal with providing access due to the wealth or not or poverty of that municipality. So having a statewide goal and putting forward legislation, I know this will have a fiscal note, but I think it's the proper things to spend money on, and hopefully we can get some CARES Act money to help with these issues, so that we can, not leave behind folks who have the digital divide, because everything is going to be a portion remote for a while now. And even after we get back to our new normal, if you don't have good access to the internet, you are left behind in so much work, abilities to work from home, long-term abilities to go to school, to do remote classes, all these things that make us a better society. So I think I'm really pleased that the governor's brought this forward, and I think it's something we should work on this session.
Well, I have to say, Councillor Baumgartner, I use those exact statistics and that exact quote when I was speaking to a group yesterday. So I was saying them as you were saying them about, who's missing broadband. And I think that was from 2018. I think that survey was from. I want to say that it's not just income based that's the issue. I represent many rural towns, and they don't have access, and it really cuts them off. I know, no offense, I have TVC, and my internet is not stable most of the time, and it's supposed to be 5G, and they've been out here quite a lot. So I do think that we need to absolutely look at this seriously, and there is proposals to use some of the CARES money towards this so that we can help those who are in the communities that are most affected in that survey, and also those that live in rural communities that just don't have the broadband access that others do. It affects every single part of your life. And it's something that it's a necessity now. You can't live without it. Whether you're going to go to school, we don't know what school's going to look like. You know, maybe we end up having people that want to stay virtually, people working virtually. So it is something, a good goal to look at to move forward. I haven't actually read all the details of the bill yet, but it's something that I'm really interested in supporting it. And I think it's a true need for everyone in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you both again.
Representative Conley, do you have to leave us? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure what your schedule holds, Senator Summers. We have Councilor Bordelon had a question though. Councilor Bordelon, did you have a quick question?
Yes, just kind of piggybacking off of the need for the families. A lot of families that are able to afford the broadband are having trouble with childcare because they were expecting school to be in session and the parents have to work. And is there any thoughts or any more support coming? You know, they have the stable home and the internet, but they don't have the body or the person because a ton of people had to instantly find childcare that normally did not need it. And so the places that are open are flooded and there's not people available. So people are having trouble not only affording, but finding that assistance, and as return, don't have anybody to help support their children academically. So that's my first thing. And my other thought or question is looking at prison guards, COs, and teachers that work for the state in the prisons. They're not able to remote work. They're having to show up at the prisons every day and teach and be the COs. Are they going to be moved to the top of the list on that 1B at all to help them be vaccinated? Because they are, in my opinion, a bit of a frontline worker because they don't have the option not to go in. So I was just curious, is there any thought? I did hear Senator Summers speak about that 1B and looking at the job that you may hold, and maybe that would help push these correction officers to the front of the line to get vaccinated. I know the numbers of COVID internally are very high. Thank you.
Yeah, the state workers, just like we were talking about, making sure that we, like we talked about, school nurses could possibly get a little with the healthcare workers, and that was discussed. State workers, there's a wide variety. DOC workers is right at the top of the list, Portia. Because you are dealing with the congregate housing.
The
Right.
prisons are considered part of congregate. We are starting to do congregate now. I don't know. I can't say for sure. The allocation committee is going to meet this week and go through how to prioritize within 1B. I can't tell you for sure where that's going to fall. I don't know if prison guards will be a higher priority than others, or teachers within the prison will be a higher priority. That decision really has not been made yet. And again, it's very dependent on the amount of vaccine that we have coming to the state. I can certainly ask and advocate. We've done that before for different workers that sometimes people don't even think of, like the workers that are working at the water pollution control authorities that are on really skeletal crews, that if somebody were to get sick, we would have serious issues, and COVID obviously is present in human waste. So we have priorities. We bring them to the allocation committee, and I will certainly ask on your behalf. But I will say the allocation committee has a really difficult job, and these decisions are not made lightly. And you know, there are some really, really tough stories. You know, if you get a call from a 74-year-old who has all kinds of issues, health issues, and is going to turn 75 in 3 months, you naturally want to be able to say, okay, you can get the vaccine, but you really have to make sure that you don't do that, because that will open up the door for something else. So these decisions are not made lightly. There's a lot of back and forth. Everybody is on that allocation committee is very thoughtful in the debate, and then the recommendations go to the governor and the DPH commissioner, and they're the ones that ultimately will make the call. But I don't want people to think these are easy decisions, because they're not. And I will certainly bring that request to them at our meeting this week. Counselor
Thank
Bordelon.
you. Thank you very much for that. I just, can't say enough about the close quarters of, the prison system. And I know there's a broad range of state workers, but really looking at the COs or anybody working in the prison system, from the janitors that are cleaning to the mailroom people, they're not able to work from home, and they are going in every day. And I appreciate that you considering them to maybe put them, as more of a frontline worker, which they are, and they should be treated as such. So thank you.
Great. Again, Representative Conley had to leave for her 6 o'clock. And again, Senator Summers, at any time, if you have to
Okay.
leave as well. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Okay, I do have to jump. Thank you.
Okay.
We all have these endless Zoom meetings. So
Yes. Thank you so much. We
if you
appreciate
need
it.
anything, please email us and we'll be happy to
Thank
get
you.
back to you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Burt, shall we go to Mr. Bronk's presentation on Nava Retail, or did you want to start?
Yep. No, it's fine. I don't have anything for tonight.
Okay, great. We're at 6 o'clock, so we're about halfway through. So, Mr. Bronk, you have the floor, sir.
I have a few items. I'm going to move along quickly. We had talked in the previous meeting about the COVID grant and how we were having some challenges in Groton and actually receiving the documentation regarding the $150,000. We did receive it shortly thereafter. I wish Senator Summers was still on the line, because I did receive communication from her office, and shortly thereafter we received the information. I believe Representative Conley was looking into it as well. I'm not sure if she made contact, but it did help. And we have basically all of the documentation we need to move forward with the grant. It's gone before the council, the RTM. We're doing the final forms right now. So when I talk about PPE, I'm just going to read a couple things. It's not just masks. We have surgical masks, N95 masks, rubbing alcohol, hand sanitizer, face shields, cleaning supplies like Clorox spray bottles, Lysol, first responder supplies, Tyvek suits, respirators, plastic sheeting, duct tape, trash bags, on and on and on. So there'll be 15,000 to administer the program, but the rest of it will go towards the purchase of PPE. We're about to put that bid out fairly soon. Obviously, time is of the essence. We already have a location at the former Fitch Middle School classroom. So I wanted people to know that we are advancing that. Honestly, it's taken longer than we anticipated, but we're trying to continue to expedite. Regarding Nava Retail, we have gone through the third phase of surveying, and I have some preliminary observations, but just some numbers in terms of outreach. These are actual phone interviews, so I'll throw some numbers out just so you know the breadth of this. 275 businesses did not answer, 307 businesses picked up, 129 businesses answered the survey, 16 of those were corporate businesses, and 51 declined to respond to the survey. So we're talking about hundreds of businesses in Groton townwide. And we are getting some pretty good indicators as to what's happening over time. So I'll read some of the highlights. It may seem like some of the same information, but there are some subtle differences. So in terms of restaurants, they've not gone back to any normal operating times, mainly due to the loss of business. So they've compressed their schedules. They're not open, a lot of them not open like they used to be. And they've expressed that there's been a further decline this fall. I think that's comparative to the phase 2 surveying. So after the summer, maybe it's not that much of a surprise. They've experienced a decline. In terms of overall business sentiment, 51% state that they're doing worse compared to their performance before the pandemic. 34% stated that their current performance has been or has reached expected performance. 14% state that they've actually performed better. So surprisingly, there are some that have performed better than what they did, let's say, in 2019. In terms of PPE, the last time didn't seem to be as much of a concern, but concerns with the lack of PPE as they've actually picked up recently. 8.8% of the businesses expressed difficulty obtaining supplies, and some medical offices claimed that they're having concerns regarding securing the PPE or as a result of increased costs of the PPE. It's a supply and demand related issue. In terms of supply chain, roughly 56% saying they're having a difficulty or experience large delays when receiving supplies from distributors. No big surprise, all of us have experienced that over the holidays. I would imagine businesses had the same experience. And then real shocking for us, we're trying to address this, but it doesn't seem like we're making a difference. 34% of the businesses still do not keep their hours updated on their online format. So that means by default, someone else is putting online what they think your hours are. Worst case scenario, someone goes to a store, they think it's supposed to reopen at 10. Well, guess what? That day they're not open till noon. That really creates a difficult situation. And only 29% of the businesses have an online component to their marketing, which is really concerning. The last thing I'll close on with NAVA Retail, I think is the most important. It says that 44% of the businesses applied for COVID relief funds. 44%. And 91% of those who applied received either a loan or a fund. So what that really means is if they apply, there's a high success rate. And it appears that there's probably adequate funding, but less than half of the businesses have actually applied. A lot of theories behind that: fear, misunderstanding. Will my loan actually be forgiven or not? What are the strings? Do I trust the government? All of that. But less than half of the businesses have actually applied. So that's really kind of concerning. We continue to push information out to try to educate, but some businesses just are not doing it. Shoreline menus, I talked about that before. We do have a certain number of businesses, restaurants that want to do that, and they should be launching soon. It could be early February. We have enough restaurants to jumpstart that. If anyone has any questions, please follow up afterwards. The last thing I'd say, there's been a lot of news regarding PPP funding. We do our best to provide primary sources of data on Explore More Groton under COVID relief for businesses. We really steer clear from trying to paraphrase, because as soon as you try to do that, the next day the information changes. We try to use hyperlinks, federal, state, industry source data, so that hopefully if there's a change the next day, it's still there. Even today, we're putting direct information that we get from the SBA with all the deadlines. Probably the most important information for people to know about PPP is that January 15th, most of the large financial institutions were allowed to grant funds again. And then as of January 19th, all other financial institutions were able to release that funding to their clientele. The last thing I would say is there's a difference between the PPP money, in which you deal with your bank or credit union, versus the EIDL money, Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That comes directly from the SBA. You deal with the SBA, and a lot of people haven't dealt with the EIDL, but the terms on it are pretty favorable. It is a loan, but it's low interest, about 3-point-something%, and the terms are incredibly beneficial, up to 30-year payback. So definitely encourage businesses to go to our website or other websites. Don't be fearful. There's plenty of money out there. The federal level would encourage businesses, or tell others if you could, that the funding is available. They just simply need to work through the process, but there are plenty of people and entities out there willing to try to help.
Thank you, Mr. Brunk. Mayor Hedrick, did you want to go next?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mayor. So I want to give you an update on what Ledge Light's doing. Ledge Light is currently meeting with us twice a week at the municipal building and the auditorium to provide vaccines. They're getting ready to expand that to 3 times a week. And they are going to probably focus on the first shots right now, but then the 3rd day, they're going to make that just for second shots because people are having a hard time getting the second shot in the series. So everybody's getting the first shots, hard time to get the second shots. So what they're going to do is they're going to set up so we can get the second shot in the series. Now, the thing about VAMs and all this, if you talk to people in the know, I know Senator Summers says everybody's doing the best they can. VAMs is a mess, and it's not working well. We need to call it what it is. And so Ledge Light Health District and the other health districts are working with DPH to allow them to use their own management system and database so that they can manage this like they did the H1N1, and they were successful doing that. So there's a possibility that's going to come out. The next thing that we're looking at is we're trying to figure out how we can do a drive-through COVID vaccine clinic at the city municipal building. The challenge right now is the restriction that is put on that they make you wait 15 minutes so that you don't see if you have an adverse reaction. What they do now in the city hall, or not in the auditorium, is actually give you a timer, and they go put you in a separate section, and they monitor you. So that is really the challenge that they have. How are they going to monitor? How are they going to do that without causing backups and stuff like that? Another thing that just came out today that most people may not know is that CVS is setting up a system so that you can get the first and the second shots. You got to get them both with CVS, but they're going to be rolling that out, and that'll be made public here pretty soon. I got an email from Steve Mansfield today about that, and that'll be coming out public. So, the whole thing is, how do we get the vaccine distributed to all of our people? Now, you still have to, be in the area, be in 1A, 1B, those kind of things. You can't jump the line and things like that. The other thing that they're trying to manage is typically you get 10 shots in a vial. And at the end of the day, you may have 1 or 2 left over, and they're trying to figure out how to have people on a call list so that they can call you at a moment's notice. You got 5 or 10 minutes to get there to get it at the end of the day. That way they don't waste vaccine. So if you have questions on that, you can always call Ledge Light Health District, and they'll walk you through that. And we're getting a lot of we have an older population in the city, and we're getting phone calls to the clerk and phone calls to us, and we're helping them get on VAMs. We're helping them get to Ledge Light so that we can get people vaccines as much as we can. So that's the report from the city, and I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you when you came in, Ms. Patrick. Did you wish to add anything at this time?
Sure. I would like to add that in addition to the vaccine work that's going on, 2 key things that we're focused on in economic development is to collaborate and connect. So over 2021, we will really be collaborating with our businesses and residents to activate our waterfront, as well as connect. Paige was mentioning a few things, and it was just making me notate of a few other elements that we really need to help our businesses connect with those support services and resources. So that's a strong connection. And just to add, the state of Connecticut has seen an uptick in entrepreneurs registering their businesses. So if there's any way for us to help businesses get through that process or help with the business planning, or at least connecting them to those resources, I think that would be very valuable. In addition to that connection, we need to really, we're paying attention to workforce development. We happen to be luckily in an area that is housed with the Eastern Workforce Investment Board, who has a program that has won awards for their manufacturing pipeline initiative. They also have the health programs that they're doing. And recently, I guess all five of the workforce boards kind of came together to help the Hartford division get a federal grant for about $10 million. That is coming in, and that's going to be helping with programming that is pulling in the IT portion of that manufacturing. So if there's any way for us to better, for the City Point, we're trying to better connect unemployed individuals, or individuals who might be just wanting to do a career change, to those programs, as well as Norwich Free Academy piloted the manufacturing pipeline initiative for the high school students. So watching that unfold, they've had right now, I think they have, they said 135 students are currently enrolled in that program, which is amazing. So don't know if there's any opportunities for Groton schools to be involved in that as well, but I think that would be awesome. But I do know that Grosso is involved with the adult portion of the manufacturing pipeline, and they recently placed, I think over the last 6 months, if I'm remembering the numbers right, 87 people went through their program. 83 of those people have been hired and placed into employment. So that's amazing. So just to continue, I guess, for you guys' feedback, send people who need that connection or placement our way, so that we can kind of get the ball rolling for everyone.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Ms. Austin, would you like to share your good news with us?
Well, Ms. Patrick, that was good news. And we are expanding our careers pathways, and they actually start, we're going for 2 DODEA grants, Department of Defense. One's a big STEM, $3 million, maybe even $6 million. And we're going to be actually regionalizing it and bringing others on board with us. So we've sent in that paperwork, but it's really for the manufacturing pipeline, the Project Lead the Way. Another STEM DODEA that we're preparing for to send out in about a week is really a K-12 initiative, also on careers in STEM, and expanding pathways, but especially in the health sciences and the biotech fields. So we're very excited about growing these opportunities, and we've been part of the pipeline program, and are looking for all kinds of partnerships in our area. So very excited to hear that. I might have to call you. The other thing I just had said when I came in, we're going to be hosting Congressman Courtney, who's coming on Friday midday to deliver the impact aid legislation, which he put through Congress and then the Senate, which allows us to keep our numbers. With COVID, it's been very hard to get things like free and reduced numbers, the impact aid numbers. Fortunately for Groton, we've been able to feed our kids breakfast and lunch, all of our kids. And a shout out to Ernie Koshmeter and his group for that. But the other thing is we're able to keep that impact aid numbers, and those numbers have been coming in strong. The past 3 years, we've been estimating the number according to what typically happens, but we've had additional funding because of those higher numbers, and that goes straight to the town. So, which is good news. I mean, that's part of their financing of the schools. So that those additional funds are really, well-deserved and, good to have. So, I'm looking forward to that visit. Related to COVID, we're bringing our kids back next week. A message will go out to parents. we didn't close school. We went remote, and that's a different thing. I mean, we really do want kids in school. We've been doing the hybrid since we opened up again. It's a real heavy lift for families and for teachers and everybody involved. We know it. And I really see the progress that has been made from last spring. Our teachers have learned so much with technology and have found some really engaging ways to connect with kids, but there's nothing like school in person, having everybody there, having sports, having all those things. And I think if we can pull the silver linings and the new learning that has engaged kids and incorporate that, with schooling and be able to go remote if you have a snow day or, not lose an opportunity. I think that's where we're going to go. I want to make sure that my students are all learning and growing. And so I've been asked to join a task force with the State of Connecticut Performance Office because of my work with assessment. And we've done a pilot program with the SBAC interim assessments and learning how to do it remotely with families and with kids, because that assessment helps us to understand where kids are and where they need to be with reading, writing, math, and science. And so the teachers have really learned to use those as an informative tool, and they're able to adjust their instruction, even individually for kids. So we're not afraid of assessment. A lot of superintendents are saying no tests, and I'm saying, why not? I want to know how they're doing. And, we've just launched a new Lexia product so that we're assessing all of our 6th through 12th graders in reading 3 times a year, like we've always done in elementary. So I feel like we're really growing opportunities. We're not doing too much assessment. We're doing just the right assessment. And through the CARES Act, we're going to be offering more tutoring programs, after school, before school, enrichment programs, and that's going to be happening in the next month. I don't want to wait for credit recovery till summer, but I will be offering a summer program for middle school, high school, and I'm going to work on one in elementary. And to make it more like a camp learning experience. I mean, I really want it to be engaging for kids to get them back, because by then I'm hoping we can get them back in person and do all those fun things. So, but we are going to be doing some credit recovery sooner. So the kids who might have really struggled and been disconnected, we saw a real correlation between absenteeism and disconnectedness and failure. And so that's across the state, across the nation. So, why wait till summer if we can, engage a kid, even in a project-based assignment that would recoup some of that credit and give them a better footing. So those initiatives, the administrative team and the teachers are working together to really come up with some creative ways to, make sure that we're not in a situation where there's significant gaps.
Very good. Thank you for that work. All right. So at this point, we have about 5 minutes left. If anybody has any quick questions or any things that you needed information on.
I just wanted to, this is Counselor Bordelon. I just wanted to thank Susan Austin for, her hard work, with the distance remote learning, in-person learning, and accommodations that you're making for, students that may need to even go in 4 days, and, adjusting even outside of the rubric of what is being offered to support and accommodate families. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But the shout out really goes to those teachers and administrators, the boots on the ground. So I appreciate that, though. I will pass it along.
Counselor Baumgartner.
I certainly concur with Counselor Bordelon, and as well as your amended comment, Superintendent Austin. Our teachers and administrators are on the front lines, and so we're indebted to them. But just with respect to the remote learning, obviously the kids shifted over to remote learning this week. Sort of anecdotally, are you seeing that after going from in person to remote, what percentage of kids right now are participating for the entire duration of the school day.
So one of the things we've noticed is because of the rise, and that's one of the reasons we had to go remote, we had 105 adults, 75 students who actually were either positive cases or contacts, which made it impossible administratively to run a school. But on the other hand, in the upper grades, a lot of families have chosen remote. The high school kids have, so those classes are a little smaller. Middle school, they seem to be coming in person, and elementary certainly. So I am concerned about the students who have been full remote. Some of them have done quite well, but we have had some disconnection, and that is what worries me. I do know that we have teams, attendance teams at every building. It includes a social worker, the principal, maybe a school psychologist, support staff, teachers, and the SROs in the middle school and high school. And on these Wednesdays, which are really work days, and they're, times when the teachers can Zoom in with small groups, with whole class, and then they have more independent work and planning. They're able to get out into the community. So a lot of, the team will go out into the community to find out, where is the disconnect? Is it a tech issue? We found out maybe computers stopped working, and we can fix that, but we have to find out what is the issue. And so we're really, we're working hard to make sure kids are connected. I don't know if that answered your question, but it is a concern.
No, it does.
Going back and forth is a concern too.
Absolutely.
No.
And thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you.
All right, I would say that we are looking at our next meeting probably at the end of February. Let me see what date is good. Mr. Burt, I would say not the 17th, as that's a holy day for some people who are observant. Would the 24th work?
Works for me.
Is there any objection to that? Okay, so we'll count that then 5:30. If anybody has anything that you wish to discuss or you need information, please forward your concerns or questions to the manager, and then he can work on getting you your answers if it's something that you need before the 24th. Or if there's any good news you'd like to share, we're happy to hear it as well. So we appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and giving us your time, and I hope everybody can go have a nice dinner now.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Stay safe.
Likewise.